Hello and welcome to Russ's One Idea Podcast.
Coming at you from Kenya, unshaven, looking a bit rough, but I really appreciate you watching my podcast. Hope you enjoy this. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm really trying to do it. The more people that I can get to like, share and subscribe, the more guests I can get on for you as well to listen to different things. So thanks very much. Peace out. Like, share, subscribe.
So I'm here today with Jon Fitch, 32-8, one of the best welterweights of all time, arguably in the top 5 welterweights, pro for 18 years, just retired, WSFO champion, or was it PFL? WSFO, wasn't it? World Series of Fighting when you were champion, now rebranded to PFL. So I believe from your assistant, do you call it, you're doing loads and loads of interviews at the moment. Is that a normal thing for you?
I've been doing a lot of live streams and podcasts and interviews for the last couple of years now. Okay. Just kind of feeling the space out, and I'll be doing a lot more moving forward now that I don't have to get punched in the face.
I can see you've got a nice setup there now. What's when you're doing interviews and things like that, well, for me as well as anything else, what's that bit where, like, if you're doing that many and you go, oh, not again. You asking me that question again? Or are you cool with all that?
You get used to hearing some of the same questions, but you try to give your best answer, your best version of your best answer. It gives you a lot of practice. Yeah, you end up sounding pretty smart after a while.
Cool.
It's one of the good things about being asked the same question over and over again.
What do you like talking about the most? What's your favorite subject when it comes to this sort of stuff?
Just life. I don't know. I have all kinds of topics I like talking about. I like trying to solve hard problems. I like talking about Scotch and cigars.
What's your favorite Scotch then?
I don't know. I just started getting into this since COVID started. I just started like actually paying attention to Scotches and stuff. Like the deep pity, a peaty like Lagavulin and Lafroy are pretty good. But man, there's a lot of good Scotch and whiskey out there.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm like 20 years sober now, so I haven't drank in ages. But yeah, I used to Glenmorangie and things like that. I used to quite like them. What was the one? There's one from Orkney where my mum's partner is from. And that was really nice. But you can notice the difference, can't you, between like a cheap one and a good one? It's just light and day, isn't it?
Yeah, your hangover is going to be impacted greatly by the quality of the drink you're putting in yourself. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things at the beginning of the quarantine I started doing was I started a live stream called Cauliflower and Cocktail Hour. So it's me because I have cauliflower ears, and I'd take a bottle of Scotch and I'd sample it and talk about it, and I'd do a little history breakdown of where it came from and who makes it. So that was fun. I was doing that. It was just giving me an excuse to for my drinking during the quarantine when it first started.
Did it change from the beginning to the end?
Well, I started to have to train for a fight. I had to start training for the fight, so I cut back on doing the show, and yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun. I was on a platform called Rockfin. Ben Askren's on there. There's a lot of people on there. It's a subscription service that has a lot of creators who are frustrated with like YouTube censorship.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it, with YouTube when you put anything on. I remember doing something when I was cycling, and I just took a video of like something happening in a village. They cut it because the music they were playing in the background was like, just like, I can't do anything. I can't take that music out. Just kill.
We have like the copyright laws are archaic. They're written before there was any technology, and they use the same ones for operating now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing that really interested me most about you is your journals. I don't know if you because that's something that's like Wow. One is, how did you manage to keep that up, and how did you do it? Did you write and handwrite everything down, or did you type everything, or and then?
No, when I was first doing it, it was all handwritten. I have like 4 thick books of me just writing in the book, and it became, man, it became a outlet. It became a form of accountability. It's because like I had to like tell on myself every day in the book. I feel guilty if I didn't. I tie it to the obsession I had with fighting and training and stuff. So the obsession to compete and win. So I think I started doing it for that reason. But yeah, I think as I started getting later in my career, I started writing less in the journal because I think I was less obsessed with competing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to fight again.
Just became that routine. You done one for diet as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I started using a more bodybuilding type diet back in 2016 when I fought João Zafrino for the WSOF title.
Yeah.
And it was different because I was eating more times a day, eating bigger portions, but I was eating like less carbs, less BS snacks, stuff like that. So I changed things up, and that was really successful for me. And then I was having neck issues, and then at the end of 2017, I started working with another injury type coach, and he was this guy William Vandry, and he made a few tweaks on my diet, which was mostly getting like the grains and stuff out, adding more fat, that type of stuff. And in doing that, it cut down a lot of inflammation, and he put me on a lot of supplements. And with that supplement concoction and the little tweaks diet, like my neck feels pretty great. My inflammation stays low. My recovery stays better. So I use this system, and it makes it really easy to cut weight. And I had a system before without the proper diet that worked pretty well as far as getting the sweat out. So I kind of mashed the two together, that part of getting the sweat out and the good diet made me able to drop my weight further and recover better, so I shared that. I wrote out just kind of what exactly I do over the course of a fight camp to maintain my weight, to check my weight, and keep my energy levels high. I have a buddy, Coach Mo, who's been around me a few times for making weight and been at fights. And then he's been coaching for, 17 years out of Indiana. And he's had a bunch of guys who just have no idea how to make weight. And he was telling me that I had to make a book. I had to write the book down. He didn't care if it was like a 4-page book. He said, you just have to write down what you're doing, because I've never seen anybody consistently like hit the weights that you need to like that you do. So like I have it's very systematic.
Because you've never missed weight, have you? What?
No, I had to double weigh in once the first time I fought Thiago Alves, but I came in pretty big for that fight.
What's your thing on people missing weight? Like Izzy the other week going 90%.
It's part ignorance because they don't really know how to do it. They could be somebody who wasn't a wrestler, didn't have guidance from somebody who knew what they were doing, or they got guidance from somebody that's clueless. It's also, there's a degree of like just discipline and mental strength, because like 90% of it is the diet and the meal plan ahead of time. So if you're not hitting the diet right, you're not eating the right stuff at the right time and cutting the right stuff out at the right time, you're not really trying that hard. So there's a lot of people who will break for that reason. There's people who just can't take, the heat in the sauna.
How many people have come in overweight for you? There's many.
A few. Thiago Alves did the second time we fought. The guy I fought down in Florida. I don't know. There's been a few. 3, 4, 5, maybe.
How do you feel about that when people come in overweight? Does that bother you, or is it like?
I'm in such a mental state that they could come in with a machine gun attached to their shoulder.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bonus. It's bonus money. It should be more money, but it's bonus money. You get that at like 10% or something. So
Yeah, because I always say it's like, people, for me, like people using steroids and then people coming in overweight, I don't see a lot of difference between that in a way. I see it both as a competitive edge, you know what I mean? I see a lot of it as coming in, it's like, okay, I can get a bit of an edge here. I don't have to suck all the water out of my body like he's had to. If I get into the third round, I'm going to be able to win this, which is in the same sort of vein to me. Like, I just wonder what other people think about it. I've heard people talking about take points off them and things like that. So I'm not sure what the best route is.
Well, I mean, it's the guys, if they're doing it right in the first place, you're not really getting an advantage by coming in over and then giving up a piece of your purse. So I think if guys just get consistent with being good at, tracking their weight. A big part of it too is what happens after the fight, like the 2-3 weeks after the fight. How much weight are you putting on, and what are you doing with your workouts? And I think when you're hitting those highs and lows, I think it makes it harder through the later part of your career. I put on some weight, after fights, but it's in a relatively acceptable range. Like I always have the danger zone, which is
look at it. You look quite lean. You don't look like
and I'm in my getting fat stage right here. I'm like 199, 200 pounds. Uh-huh. So this is me carving up, eating snacks and popcorns with the kids, and having a box of wine. Uh-huh. So I'm a little bit soft right now. So like I'm already thinking about I got to get my stuff still checked out by the doctor before I start working out again. But I'm going to start lifting here soon and start getting back, to my normal routine. Because I believe in treating lifting weights and you're working out like your hygiene. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to take a month off or 2 months off of brushing my teeth. So I don't want to take 2 months off of lifting weights.
Yeah, tell me about it. That lockdown killed me. I was cycling around and then I got stuck in Peru, and you couldn't do anything. You weren't allowed to go out. So I was in like an Airbnb for nearly 3 months, and you couldn't even go for walks around. So it's like I was just getting fatter and fatter. I was terrible. Man. I was struggling getting back into shape.
I made a resistance band weightlifting course. I put on Gumroad, so you can do all the exercises that I do in my normal Fitch Smash like lifting stuff. Mm-hmm. But I did it all with the resistance bands, those big rubber bands. Yeah. So I put that together so people could get their lifts on still at home.
Yeah, there's a lot of weightlifters. I used to work with a weightlifting guy, and he was saying they're using them more and more, or bodybuilder, you know what I mean? They're using them more and more because if you're doing it with a bench press or anything, you're working all the way, aren't you? Whereas normally with the bench press, you lower down, when you're nearly extended, you're not working so much. So you're working all the way out with the resistance band as well. Like they're really good. I like. What sort of exercises do you like to do?
Well, I do a lot of maintenance stuff for fun, kind of just shoulders, knees, and ankle mobility, just little things here and there, just to upkeep. But I do like core type of lifts where I want to hit my legs. I do squats. I've been doing those Zercher squats, especially with the resistance bands. Those are good with the bands. Stiff leg deadlifts are a favorite of mine. Like I try to do weighted dips or incline decline for bench instead of flat bench. Face pulls, pull-ups. I got some rings in my garage. Pistol squats. A lot of fun stuff.
Oh, I hate squats. They kill me. They were all laughing at me at the gym when I went the other day because I couldn't bend all the way down. They're like, I'm super tight. They're like, what are you doing? I've done it. It's been so long since I've done any squats. So you're saying you've been messing about with the kids? How many children have you got? You married now?
I got two. I got 2 sons.
2 sons. How old are they?
Yep, 6 and 8.
6 and 8.
It's starting to get big. We got a new puppy too, and the puppy's about 2 pounds away from Atlas's weight, my youngest. So,
what puppy is it?
They're good wrestling partners. He's a Canary Mastiff.
Okay, well, that's an unusual breed.
They call him a Presa Canario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen him in books. Like that. I used to be mad for dogs. I had an English Mastiff. He was like huge. He used to be able to put his head on the side in the kitchen, you know what I mean, without even getting his feet off the floor. So how big does the Canary Mastiff get?
Yeah, he can get to 130, 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm. What made you get one of that?
Oh man, like a long time ago, I went down the rabbit hole of Blackout 300s. It's a gun.
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, I got one of those, and they got it there for close quarter combat and for hog hunting.
Uh-huh.
So I started researching all kinds of hog hunting stuff, and I found my way to like these helicopter rides you can rent in Texas and shoot pigs out of the back of the helicopter.
I've heard about that.
So I saw those, and then I went from there to where they kill the pigs traditional style, which is they release 2 or 3 dogs on them, and the dogs run them down, hold on to them, pin them, and then the hunter will slice their throat.
Okay.
So, and one of the breeds that they use were the Presa Canarios, the Canary Mastiffs.
So
I have not.
Okay.
But I just like the look of the dog, and I started reading about the temperament, and then this is like 3 years ago. I started searching online, and I found this guy who had a litter up in Canada, and then we started talking, but the timing didn't work out for me to get it. I think I just moved back to like San Jose, and yeah, marriage wasn't great at the time, so it wasn't the right idea to bring a dog into the picture. And he ended up getting back to me a few years later he had a second litter with the same dogs, and he hit me up on Instagram. So I ended up getting the dog down here from Canada. We had to use some old treaty that allowed indigenous person to travel from Canada into the U.S. because everything shut down.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a crazy story about the dog just getting here.
Well, so is he an indigenous person, or did he get an indigenous person to?
No, he had his friend or somebody he found. Yeah.
So he drove it all the way over. How far is
it? He had somebody drive it down to Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had somebody from Portland drive it down.
Oh, okay. So what's the dog's name?
Zuko.
Zuko. Is it a dog or a bitch?
Zuko. He's a doggo.
Oh, wicked. I miss my dogs. I used to have like 4 pit bulls when I was in Thailand as well. That was just crazy. They were just too much hassle.
How
are the kids?
A lot of dog. What's that?
How are the kids with the dog?
They're really good. They do a good job. I try to make sure that they are stern with him and not too soft, because he's a big dog, but he's a puppy.
Yeah.
So so it's a little intimidating, especially when you're the same size as the dog. But like no, I was like, raise your voice and tell him to sit down. Tell him no. Like, he's gonna listen to you. So if you don't teach him to listen to you now, when he's huge, he's definitely not gonna listen to you. But they're doing really good. And then I caught my youngest like full out wrestling with the dog. So he's like hip tossing the dog over and sprawling out.
How was the dog with that? Was he okay?
Good. The dog was having a great time. Yeah. It's funny. Just have to teach him not to, like, he nips a little bit when you walk, and I can trip you up.
Yeah, they're terrible for getting it under your feet and things like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember I was living with a girl, the first dog I ever got, and he was like really cool, really chilled out. So there's been no problem with them. She had a baby. And then I looked one day and there was all the stuffing coming out of his diaper, but he just nipped the bottom of his diaper like that.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. So do your kids do the wrestling? Are they in wrestling classes, or do you not start?
Well, everything's kind of shut down, but I was doing some wrestling classes after their school and stuff was done in the garage. I built a little studio in the garage, and I have mat space and a weightlifting area, so I kind of got everything that I need right here. So we'll go back and I'll take them through some lessons and have them wrestle a little bit. It's unfair because the 8-year-old's got 20 pounds on the other one, but I just have them do some basic drilling stuff. repetitive basics. Just that's the stuff that gets you at. I'm not trying to. They're so young. I'm still not trying to force them in anything. I just want to keep it fun and playful. Yeah. So we'll do some goofy drills, some spin drills, and monkey rolls, things like that too.
Just when, like, I don't. I'm from the UK, so I don't understand the wrestling background in the college and school network. When does it start to get intense for kids? I see Ben Askren going on about it being, make it fun, make it fun, make it fun. Too many coaches doing that. What's your take on it? What was it like for you as well?
No, yeah, he's 100% right. It needs to be fun. A lot of it, especially the kids that start young, and it's their dads that start them young, and they kind of just push too much. And you think about it from, your perspective as an adult, like, how many things do you love doing and have done for 10 years and not gotten bored of, and one left and one went away and did something else?
Not many things.
Yeah, not many things. So if you're a 4-year-old and you start wrestling hardcore at 4, when you get to 14, maybe you're just, okay, I did enough of it. I did a decade of wrestling.
Yeah.
So, and that might be fine. Maybe that's all you just wanted him to have a childhood of wrestling, and then you don't care about his adult life. But I don't know, if you want them to possibly think about competing at a higher level, find ways to make it more playful, more fun, and mix it up with a lot of different things until they get to that point where they're choosing. I'm gonna kind of wait for my kids to ask to compete. Because they go to jiu-jitsu class when it's open. We'll do our stuff. I might start having some people come over with their kids and wrestle with the kids. So, that type of stuff. But for fun. And then when they're like, "Hey, there's a tournament," when the tournaments start back up, I guess again too.
Yeah, in the UK, it's the same with soccer, as you'd call it. Parents just, I haven't got kids, so I don't know what I'd be like. Just pushing the kids. I don't remember it from when I was, the only one I remember was my dad being pissed off at me when it was a freezing cold morning. I got a ball straight in my face and was crying. He wasn't too happy, he had to leave. But it's like I see it now. I've done some coaching badges for soccer, and it's parents are really shouting at the kids to do it when it should be fun. It should be fun and that.
What's that?
How did you find it growing up? Because your wrestling career was for a long time.
Yeah, I started and I was 4th grade, so I was about 9 years old. I had a second cousin whose older brother wrestled, and he used to take the bus over to go to wrestling practice, and I was big into WWF at the time and Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. So I thought, him telling these stories about wrestling, I thought it was the same as what I was watching on TV pretty much. So, I got the first practices, and I realized that it wasn't, and I didn't like wrestling. I didn't like pro wrestling anymore. So then, it was such a cool experience to kind of battle and wrestle with people like that on a daily basis. Oh, excuse me. And then also, we would get on a bus from one school and then ride it over to another school and go to wrestling practice. And then our parents would have to pick us up. We would call, collect, and then hang up, pick me up, hang up before they would, and that's how they'd come pick us up. So you couldn't do that these days, 9-year-old taking a bus from one school to another school. No. There was no list to sign up on. I didn't tell anybody. I just went with my cousin one day. I'm taking his bus. We're going to the thing.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about, I don't know how you feel about the difference between now and when you grew up. I think you're a bit younger than me, but I think I grew up in a great time. It was when computers were just starting to come through, but we used to still be able to go out messing about at night on the streets and, and still play out, so to speak. Yeah. The different things that we could do. I didn't really even use a computer until, I don't know, later. I was using my smartphone before I was really using a computer on a regular basis. Okay. I had to do some of my work in school on a computer, but I wasn't really techie at all. I wasn't on forums. I didn't do a lot of that stuff. So
I don't know if I missed out or I was getting ahead.
I don't know. I don't think they're a really good thing in your life. It's a bit of both, isn't it? You know, like smartphones are amazing, but they're the worst thing in the world as well, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
If I said to you, what I want to do is
You gotta get the screen time counter thing on there if you wanna feel bad about it.
yeah, and also if I said to you, what I want you to do is I'm going to give you something, and I want you to carry it around so I can track everything you're doing, and I want you to pay me every so often to update that. You'd be like, no way. But now people just, I'm addicted as anyone. It's terrible, isn't it? You know? So,
yeah, it's normalized addiction, like sugar.
What's happening with the, is it antitrust? I'm not very good on the
yeah, we're waiting on a finalized decision from Judge Bullard. Yeah. But anyways, he said he was probably going to rule in favor of us giving us class certification for the bout class. Didn't mention anything about the identity class, which means we're probably not going to get that. But it sounded like, from what everybody says and the lawyers say, he pretty much said yes, like that we got the decision. It's just not finalized. I don't know how long the timeline is on getting it finalized, and what the next step is. I don't know if they have a right to appeal first that decision, or if we start to go to trial and then they'll try to do something. I don't know. UFC will just keep trying to drag it out.
Yeah, so that was quite a brave thing to do. Like, did you have any repercussions from that, or was it because you were in the UFC at the time? Was it so?
Yeah, I was already. Well, the repercussion was they weren't going to work with me anymore.
Yeah,
you know, like that. I burned that bridge for like getting a chance to come back. If I would have kept my mouth shut and won a few fights in a row, and just they probably would have like let me come back. But yeah, I was tired of it, so took a stand, and we became a part of the class action, and yeah, I think it's going well.
How do you feel about? Do you understand why people didn't join you with that, or is it frustrating, or?
I mean, it's not many people are risk takers. You know, a lot of people they have what they have right now, and even if it's abusive, at least they have it. You know, they on the other side of that, they don't know what exists. They don't know what it could look like, and that's the main number one thing I get from people is that they can't envision a future where it's not UFC dominated and controlled. So it's like they're kind of like hopeless with, well, it's just the way it is type of mentality. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't have to be like that. I think just the uncertainty of what the future would bring is enough to keep a lot of people in line, and that's a human condition. It's not, you know, it's not unique to these people in this situation.
Yeah, because I was talking to Mark Godbeer, and like the perception of people from outside the sport, or just the regular fan is, you're on TV, you must be earning millions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He broke down what he earned for one of his heavyweight fights, you know, and by the time he took all his training fees out, because he didn't get a win bonus, he was only earning a few thousand. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's what you do that twice a year in the UFC. If you're lucky, don't you? Sometimes once a year. It's not a lot to live on, is it? You know, it's tough. Like it's a tough way to earn a living, isn't it? You know,
it's a very tough way to earn a living, and on top of that, the promoters, because of the leverage and the power that they have, they don't really have to promote the athlete at all. So these guys are only getting a push by the promotion. You know what? Maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks before their signed contracted bout is. Maybe 1 week they'll get mentioned. So like they have maybe anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months of coverage and promotion a year, and that's it. And the promoter at the same time will be like, well, hey, you guys aren't popular enough to like get bigger fights and get paid more. So it's like they're failing to do their part of the job and not building these guys up because they don't want to put any money into it, because they're already going to make the advertising money by watching, you know, the guys who they just put out there. So it's it's a big need in the market, I think. 'Cause in boxing, the promoter will put a lot more time and money in the investment into the fighter because he's going to get a bigger return on his investment back. Like that promoter will pay for their rent and their food and coaches out of pocket before he gets a return.
Uh-huh. I didn't realize it was like that in boxing. I don't really know anyone in the boxing game. I was talking to a guy called Nick Chapman, and he's just putting a package out now for young fighters because he'd done a lot of promotion. He was very good at promoting himself for sponsorship, like he got one. He wasn't fighting the level you're at or anything. He got like £250,000 in 5 years in sponsorships. So what? Probably about $350,000. $350,000. You know what I mean? In 5 years. And I don't see that. A lot of fighters pushing themselves in that market where they could earn a lot more. I heard you saying something about.
Well, a lot of them don't know. Brands. Yeah, and that's what it is, brand building. That's what they need. I think that's what now I'm in retirement. That's another thing I'm planning on doing some work into is create a company that's based around brand building.
How do you see that working?
What's that?
How do you see that working? What's the dynamic in that? Where you get a fighter, like bring him in as sort of like as a manager, or you kind of have to create what the brand is. Like, what are you? Who are you? What do you represent? What are you doing? It can't just be fighter. It can't be all it is. Are you a fighter from this country? Are you a fighter who plays the cello? Are you a fighter who teaches rumba classes? Whatever. What are those layers to you to promote out there, and then build from there with controlled social media posts, content creation, that type of stuff, and you basically build that brand up like a company, like a corner store. Like you recognize it, you see it, you understand it, the owner when you go in and you buy from it. So when that person starts to have sponsored products or affiliate sales type things or their own products that they can sell, then people are much more likely to buy from somebody they like. Yeah. Now, I was talking to a psychologist friend on the other week and we were talking about addiction and everything, but we were talking about people and knowing themselves. And I think that's a shortcoming in school. It's the course that I'd like to set up actually at some point, is so you can find out who you are. And I think that's where fighters as well will struggle with creating brands, isn't it? Is who am I? You know what I mean? When most people,
part of the problem is our martial arts mentality, of who we are kind of in the sport. It doesn't allow us to express too much of that because we're supposed to be humble and whatever. Well, at the same time, this is show business.
Yeah.
So like you need to be, like a martial arts peacock. So like you got to find a way to balance your humbleness and your respect or whatever as a martial artist, but strut your feathers at the same time. You've got to find a way to get that out there.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, I think, and that's something that I think I suffered from too, is like, you just want your work. You just want the fight to speak for itself. That's great. But like, if you're only fighting once every 9 months, twice a year, like it's, even if you have an amazing fight, like people are going to fizzle, attention's going to fizzle. And then now, you don't have as big of a following. You don't have money coming in because you haven't made any sales. And then you're not going to be able to ask for bigger fights and bigger money moving forward. So if you can do things outside of the cage that maintain your visibility year round, like that's just going to make your fight career better.
Yeah. Like Sugar Sean O'Malley, he's doing a great job branding himself, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's killing it on that brand side. You know what I mean? He could fight as well, but unfortunately with his last one. But he knew who he was and he knew what he wanted to be. You know what I mean? Which I think some of the finding that out for people is quite difficult. You said you struggled with that. How did you change over the years with that?
Man, just you kind of have to let go of your ego investments about the way things should be, and you got to kind of accept how things are and work within the climate. So like I could keep complaining about how you know, there's restrictions on the market, and you know, me winning fights should be enough. But at the same time, that's just not how things work. I could work and help, you know, make changes so things move in that direction a little bit more. But if you play the game, you know, it's easier to make changes.
Yeah, you know, I see people who've got that natural ability in front of the camera, and it's easy for them. I don't think I'd be that person. I think I'd have to work at it.
Well, a lot of it is finding out like what your story is, kind of, you know, and then once you can find it, like, it's easier to tell.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Not everybody has to be Conor McGregor or Sean O'Malley. You know, you don't have to be like a wild, rambunctious, loud, rude. You know, you don't have to be. You could be the guy who makes fucking awesome doilies and like sews handkerchiefs and whatever. Like, you just have to know what it is you can sell and how to put it out there.
What would you give as advice for young fighters for that? Apart from coming to see you when you get your business going, like, what
no, I mean, just
people coming into the game
then. That it's man, that it's a business, and you are a business. You are an independent business, and you need to make your business profitable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that needs to be your mindset. And being a great fighter is one way to make your business profitable, but you need some skills in sales. You need some skills in marketing. You need to make yourself visible to people in order for them to see you, so you can show them how great of a fighter you are.
Yeah, that's what one of the things I want with this is, like, I love fights. I love fighters and that. I like being around them, but it's like, I know they're not getting paid enough. You know what I mean? So it's like having these chats about, so I think hopefully other people will watch it, see it. How did you do for sponsorship? I know we're getting close to time now, so I don't want to go too long. How did you do for sponsorship? Did you go out and get a lot, or did you hope it come to you? Or
well, that was the thing too. I kind of had to learn a little bit with, because before, you know, in the 2000s, sponsorships were easy because they were just, you know, climbing hands over fists to get to our managers and make a deal. Yeah. And you know, when UFC started taxing the sponsors, it started to kind of push a lot of them out of business, and the numbers got less and less. And then now it's a very skinny market for sponsorship. So you kind of have to be a hustler and find out areas, you know, find out businesses in your area, local sponsors, local people. You have to find ways to make deals and put kind of like a sponsorship deck together. Like, you give me these things, I can give you this stuff. Yeah. And that's where analytics and visibility on your social media stuff can help a lot. Like, hey, look, I've got 25,000 followers from this city. Yeah. Okay. If I'm talking about your establishment or whatever, like, you know, it might be worth it for them to kick you back some cash. You got to get creative. That's part of it.
Yeah, because like, I've spoken to a few people, and there's a sort of idea that sponsorship is just free money that people give you, that it's not a two-way street. You know, it's a business arrangement, isn't it?
You will find sponsors who have money to burn, right? Especially people who have a budget that they have to spend every year. Yep. If you can find one of these guys, that's the way to go, right? So these guys have like a $5 million contract, $10 million contract, and if they don't spend that money every year, they lose it. They won't get it the next year. Yep. So like they will love to sponsor you for 10 grand or whatever. You know, maybe you could figure out a way to put an event together where you meet a bunch of their friends and drink, because they love bragging about knowing people, you know. So there's all kinds of ways to figure some shit out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Most people don't know these things, do they? They don't know where to go for it, things like that. And if people like you who've been in this sport a while that can help them with that, because otherwise it's a long road, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It makes it hard. I mean, if you could use the internet to make like an extra $500 a month, like that would have changed a lot of my training and, you know, work hours, things like that back early in the day.
Did you used to work as well?
I used to wash. Yeah, I was a bouncer, wash dishes. Like, I worked a lot of night stuff just so I could work 4 or 5 hours at night, get back to bed, so I could train all day the next day.
What was the worst?
And then I was always teaching seminars here and there whenever I could pick up some extra cash.
What was the worst job you had?
The worst job? I was a commercial insulator for a summer.
Oh, okay, nice. So
summer in Indiana where it's really humid and hot. You got to wear like flannel and gloves and your jeans.
Yeah.
And you're up in like attics where it's like 120. Yeah.
So
it's like, I am not doing this, man.
But that was good for putting weight though, wasn't it?
I was like, all right, I'll try fighting because that insulating shit. Nope. I'm not doing that again.
I remember doing it when I was in Thailand and went into the attic space, and I was only up there for about 10 minutes, and I was just absolutely drenched. It's like,
it's miserable. It's a miserable thing.
Yeah, that's no good.
And then I made it worse because I was dating some girl, and she would come sneak over late at night, keep me up late. I was like sleep deprived and being tortured. That's where I developed my mental toughness, I think.
So, before we wrap this up, what's your things on? Two questions. What's your things on USADA? What do you make of all that? Do you think that's good?
I think it's a little shady to have, the testing company, the one that is being paid by the people who own the title, exclusive contracts, and control ranks. It seems a little like a conflict of interest.
Yep.
Should we separate the powers? Isn't that more American to separate the powers? It should be an independent body that does the testing. How about the UFC pays the money to the commission so the commission can randomly test people on a better level or something? Or I don't know. Everything is corrupt as long as the promoters control exclusive contracts and the title.
Have you noticed any difference with the people that you were fighting back in the day when it was the Wild West to what it is now? Do you think it's because of it, or do you think it's just no difference?
No, I haven't noticed. I haven't noticed any difference in change with anybody, and yeah, I mean, sometimes in the training room, not in fights, but in the training room, sometimes guys come into town. It seem like hulks, but it could also be because they come in for one day and then they take 2 days off and they come back in a day.
Yeah.
But I never really noticed a big difference. You noticed a lot less of the guys who turned red, like in later years. I think the early bodybuilder steroid guys were guys who turned red. But I don't know if they've done much, but I don't know if guys are just good at keeping a low profile around me. But I don't know, man. I can't tell anything if people are on or people aren't.
Yeah, I just wondered whether you thought it was safer or not, or whether it's just made any impact. It's like
as long as you have the type of control that the UFC has on the entire market, I don't trust the situation.
Yeah.
It seems like some guys are going to pass and other guys aren't. Tests are going to get lost and found all the time. I don't know.
Okay. The other one, I see on Twitter you put a lot of philosophical stuff on there. We'll close on this one last question because we've gone on a bit longer than we said. What's your philosophies on life and things like that? What's your? I think
a lot of that stuff I started putting up there. It's on the scheduled post, but it's just stuff that people need to hear because everybody's such a pussy these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everybody's sad or crying about some crazy shit that is not really affecting their life. People are focusing on things super far away, and they're not focusing on their immediate people around them.
Yeah.
And you're going to affect more of the shit way over there if you are affecting the people immediately around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think a lot of people just need to toughen up a little bit these days. Yeah. There's not a lot you can change other than you and your feelings and what you're doing with yourself. You can't. I don't know. There's too many people trying to control other people.
Yeah,
control yourself.
I agree with you. I was getting angry about stuff, and it's how I started this podcast. I want to fucking change the world. And then it's like I can't do it. One, I'm not charismatic enough, to do that. And I haven't got enough people who listen to it. And then two, it's like, I'm not going to do it. So if I can influence the people around me, you know what I mean, then hopefully there's a ripple effect from that. Maybe, I'm trying to be positive.
Well, also you talk
all the time.
You also talk to other people, make sure that you're not in a bubble too.
Yeah.
Talk to other people outside and have discussions about things and make sure that you're not just recycling the same stories and talking to the same people about the same things, making sure you're getting different perspectives.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to talk about politics and things like that are negative on here, because it's like, well, that just furthers that negative vibe, like into all the vibration stuff at the time. Most
of that stuff doesn't really affect you, on a like a whatever macro scale, like on a small little way, it's going to affect you, but like it doesn't affect you as much as you hanging out with your family or your friends, or you're working hard and saving money and putting your life in a direction that's beneficial for you and the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one I've always said is it doesn't matter who's in power. It's going to be almost the same for me, apart from what the media tell me to think about it a lot of the time. I see, and then I get angry about it. It's no good for me, and then that spoils my life. So yeah. And I see, as you're saying that about kids, I've done it when I was coaching football and soccer, and they're like, "Oh, I'm rolling around on the floor." I don't remember anyone doing that in my day when I was young, and asking to be taken off because they're injured, unless it was something serious. But is it like that with kids wrestling?
No, I wouldn't say not. I mean, not with my kids. The kids, that I am around are DC's kids, and those kids are tough. Those kids are tough. Like their parents are tough. They won. He's running his practices. Kids cry all the time, and they get in trouble. And it's like they're competitive. They're trying to win. So it just depends. Like a lot of people in California probably wouldn't bring their kids to that wrestling club. Those kids are going to win. They'll be winners, but it's rough. But no, I've had people that I were looking for the kids to take classes when I was teaching kids classes, and there's ladies like, oh, do they have to put each other on the ground so hard? Like they're practicing double legs. I was just like, this probably isn't for you, lady.
Yeah, ballet's next door.
Yeah. So worried about her. Your kid was like, 7 and diabetic already, and you're just like, man, this kid really needs this.
Yeah.
but it's too rough for her.
Well, yeah, it's tough that, isn't it? Because I loved all that as a kid, that rough and tumble things. I'd have probably loved wrestling. We don't do it in the UK. It's not something we do. It'd be good fun. So, we've gone on 50 minutes now. We've gone for half an hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But anything else? Just say quickly for people, who were in the sport or anything like that before we finish.
No, you can check out jonfitch.net. I got everything on my website. You sign up for newsletter. I got lots of stuff going on, a lot of projects, podcasts. I got stuff on Rockfin, YouTube, Patreon. Got it everywhere. Okay. Everything's on the website.
You got books out now as well, haven't you, for people?
Yep. Failing Upward, Death by Ego, and the Wake Up Bible. Those are also they're linked on the website.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much, John. Really enjoyed chatting to you.
Yeah, man, it's good talking to you.
Go and enjoy some whiskey now, man.
Yep, that's the plan.
All right, brilliant. Thanks very much.
All right, take it easy.
You too.
Take you later.
All right.